I am Maria Garcia de Fleury. Levi, the son of Alfeo, whom we know as Saint Matthew the Apostle or Saint Matthew the Evangelist, lived in the first century. He was a Jew who lived in Capharnaum, a commercially very important city because it is located on the great route traveled by the caravans on their way between Syria and Egypt. We do not know from his childhood or youth, but it is known that although he was a Jew, Matthew worked as a tax collector for the Roman Empire on behalf of Herod Antipas. The story goes that one day Matthew was in his tribute collecting office in Capharnaum by the Sea of Galilee. When Jesus passed by, came up to him, looked at him, and said, "Follow me." The look of Jesus in his eyes and the conviction of his words were so strong that Matthew did not hesitate to stand up and follow him. At that moment, he understood what he later heard Jesus say: "Whoever is trustworthy in a very little thing is faithful also in much. Whoever is dishonest in very little things is dishonest also in much. No servant can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money." As he was a man with many connections and friends within the government, he gave a great banquet to say goodbye to the life he led and, of course, invited Jesus and the apostles. The Pharisees criticized Jesus when they saw him eat with publicans and sinners. But Jesus replied, "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." From that moment on, Matthew followed Jesus and learned from him. As a cultured man and knowing the sacred Hebrew scriptures, he was comparing them with what Jesus said. For this reason, years later, when he wrote his testimony about what he heard on many occasions, he often said, "Before it was said, and now it is said." The Gospel of Matthew also has a very special characteristic, and that is that he tells the story of Jesus as the story of a fervent and disciplined community, essentially Jewish in its origin, but encouraged by a great missionary spirit. In that community, Jesus expands and expresses his life as a revelation of God's saving love, that is, of the transformation of human life. In the life and Passover of Jesus, Matthew condensed the past history of ancient Israel and the future history of humanity, transformed by the gospel of God's grace. And in his gospel, there are many speeches and narrations. Matthew was present at the Last Supper, at the ascension of Jesus, at the moment when the Holy Spirit rested on the apostles and our Blessed Mother. When the apostles went out into the world to evangelize, Matthew went to Ethiopia and Persia, lived many years in Antioch, where around the year 80 it seemed that he wrote his gospel and directed it to Palestinian readers or Christianized Jews familiar with the Old Testament. This is the reason why he put a very special effort in showing that Jesus Christ is the announced Messiah. Matthew is associated with an angel because he centers his writing in the humanity of Christ. Matthew, a cultured and prepared man, the day he met Jesus personally changed his life. His life was never like before. Now his gaze, his ideals, and his hearts were sent upon God. And friends, we know that with God, we always win.